Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me on this morning talk. Hey guys, today this is going to be kind of a abstract conversation. Just kind of talking about the genesis of this realm, you know, the beginning of this world and why we are here, you know, and really what all this is about. Because you know, of course, many people believe the biblical account, you know, of Genesis, and there's a lot of truth in that Genesis story, and the reason for that is because it was adapted off of much older sources, you know, the Egyptian, the Vedic, and the various cuneiform. And if you read the Atrahasis, or you read the Numa Lish, or many of these other cuneiform, and the Sumerian kings list is mind-blowing too. I mean, the ages on those kings that ruled the earth was incredible, some for 30,000 years. It starts, you see a lot of correlation between the Bible and those cuneiform, but it's like the Bible's the Reader's Digest version of the information. You know, you're not getting as detailed information, and then of course you have a certain people in that story that wanted to make themselves the heroes, the chosen ones, and they took all of those various gods, which they started out with the truth in Genesis, the Elohim, come let us make man in our image after our likeness, not God. See folks, there's a very, very important distinction in Genesis. There is a part about the creator of all, creating the heavens and the earth. That's truly about the one single creator. But then later on, when Adam and Eve were created, that's when you get the Elohim, the gods. And that's very important, folks. If anything, I want you to understand one major thing here. And that is these bodies, these avatars are not created in the image of God, okay? They're created in the image of the Elohim, because the Elohim have humanoid forms. And they mixed their DNA with the hominid that was walking the earth, the early, I don't know if they were prototypes or experiments or what they were. And you know, according to archaeology, we've got proof of hundreds of different ancient species of humanoids on the earth. But see, they hybridized one of those races, or maybe a few of them, and they mixed their DNA, they upgraded those humanoids, and that was the avatars they perfected in Adam and Eve. So, but I want you to understand, our spirits are created in the image of the creator of all, or the source energy, because we are fractals of source, folks. So your spirit is a creative force. It's creative conscious energy. It's pure energy from the source. But the body, the avatar, is just a vessel. And that is what the Elohim tinkered with. The body, the Anuna, the Anunnaki, that's what they tinkered with. In the Vedic text, folks, you know, the blue gods, all the various gods in the Vedic text, you know, that were, you know, warring in the heavens and all that, that was the Elohim. See, I mean, everybody that poo-poos the Hindu Vedic text, they don't understand that a lot of what's in the Bible is in the Vedic, and vice versa. It's just like I said, the Vedic, the Sanskrit is much older than the Hebrew, than the Bible. In fact, what you'll find is that the cuneiform was the base writing system for the Vedic. The Sanskrit was based off of the cuneiform. The early Hebrew, the Paleolithic Hebrew, was based off of the cuneiform. All of those other ancient writings, in the Middle East, there in the Mesopotamia, all were derived off the original cuneiform. And one thing I just want to make a point of, because this keeps coming up on my posts on Exit the Matrix Facebook, Sitchin did not invent the word Anunnaki, okay? I'm so tired of the ignorance and the gaslighting. That is misdirection, folks. And that usually is typically coming from the right, from the religious right. Because they know damn well, when you read those cuneiform stories, you can see the correlations with the Bible. And not only that, you realize that those are the base, the original source. And that the Bible is an adaptation. I wouldn't call it a copy, it's an adaptation. It's not a copy because they changed a lot of it. They, like I said, one group of people figured they'd make themselves the heroes of the story, But the original, like George Smith in the 1800s, some of the original translators that broke the code to be able to translate the cuneiform. They even wrote, you can go back and read George Smith's translations of some of those ancients, like the Epic of Gilgamesh and such. You can see the Anunnaki written plainly. And that was George Smith. He was 100 years before Zecharia Sitchin was starting to write this stuff. See, Zecharia Sitchin sourced his work. Folks, you've all been tricked. I mean, you've all been tricked. And you've got the religious power structures of the time. They realize that their lies are all being exposed. See, they tried to hide, the Gnostic writings. They dismissed the Gnostics. They tried to get rid of the ancient teachings of the indigenous peoples around the world. They wiped them out, like the Druids in France and in the British Isles. That's what your stories are about the what is it, there's the story, oh man, it's right on top of my head, about the saint that runs the snakes out of London, remember? It's like a nursery rhyme and everything. Gosh, I can't remember. Anyways, that's about running the Druids out. It was a religious conquering of the Druids, and that was as Catholicism and other Christian religions basically conquered those ancient teachings. And I'm not saying the Druids knew all the truth, folks, or were the right religion, but they were teaching a lot of ancient, Hermetic teachings and such about the way that nature operates and our connection to the spirit, to nature and all that. There was a lot of truth there. So they had to wipe that out. And then the Gnostics were giving a lot varied and different viewpoints on the early Christian church and on the teachings of Yeshua. And a lot of this was from the Essenes, who were the mystic order that Yeshua and John the Baptist and Mary Magdalene were all a part of. They were all priests and priestesses of that order. See, they had to wipe that out. They couldn't have these other viewpoints that were not controlled by the power structure of Rome. So they had to burn their texts. And that's why those things got hidden away. The Dead Sea Scrolls, the Nag Hammadi, all that stuff got buried and hidden. like a time capsule to be uncovered later on. And now we're understanding why. If you actually read the Nag Hammadi, you will understand why they had to hide that stuff, get rid of it. You know, so in the Hermetic teachings, all the Hermetic teachings got smuggled through humanity over time, through the mystery schools, through the, secret societies and orders. And I'm not saying these secret societies are good, people, okay? However, a lot of them did protect the Hermetic teachings, because the Hermetic teachings are the secrets of unlocking the matrix, the quantum field, of how it works, how it operates, how we interface with it. That's power. They did not want the common peasants, the serfs, to have access to that. That's also that. So it had to go underground, and it got smuggled around by secret societies and by different orders, mystery school orders and such. But when you read the Hermetic teachings, the Emerald Tablets, you see the absolute knowledge contained therein. And in fact, if anything, the Hermetic teachings will literally teach you how to interface in with the quantum field. I know, because I've been tinkering with it, and there's real results that happen because of it. But anyways, folks, back to the beginning. So what was this really all about? Why did they have to build these avatars? And what were these beings, these Anuna, these Elohim, these watchers, these Anunnaki that were tinkering with the avatar? Now we know, according to the cuneiform, that they were very advanced. They were technologically advanced and spiritually advanced, because they understood the connections between heaven and earth. You find the allegories and those deep truths in a lot of those ancient cuneiform. I've already said the Epic of Gilgamesh, folks. That was not about Gilgamesh. It was about you, about the hero's journey. It was all an allegory. If you break that story down piece by piece and look at it through the lens that it's about the spirit coming to earth on the hero's journey through the experiences of this realm, it starts to open the story wide open before you. The allegories awaken. Just like the Inanna's descent into the underworld. It's about her descent from heaven onto earth, her death, the purification, and her resurrection, and how she had to give up all of her powers that you have naturally in the higher dimensions. And as you go through the lower dimensions, you lose those abilities, or at least you forget about them. That's part of the rules of coming to this world, and that's all encoded there in Inanna's descent. So, who were these advanced beings? What were they doing? There's something I've been thinking a lot about, folks, here. Now, I go different routes. I've been going down the route a lot that maybe the Anunnaki were the higher, the high-class survivors, the royalty, maybe the top military and scientists of the Atlantis Empire. That when it collapsed, just like what happened now, if there was a cataclysm, all the rich, the powerful would go underground in their bunkers, and they'd come out later. And of course, they would have all these top scientists go underground with them, because you need the scientists when you rebuild society again after a cataclysm. So wouldn't it have been similar with the Atlanteans? Now, it could be that, but perhaps this is something much, much deeper, and it's much more expansive than we've ever thought. And I've been getting this idea from some near-death experiences that I've been studying, their accounts. What if this is how worlds get colonized, how worlds get, how they, I don't like to use the word evolution, because the Darwin evolution is it's so disgustingly wrong anymore. Like, it's so outdated. But there is a certain evolution of planets and of creatures There's a design, there's a, obviously, I believe in the blueprint theory that species are all programmed as a blueprint. However, they have the spark of life, of divinity, of the source in everything that gives it life and consciousness. But maybe what the Elohim do is they go to planets that they've been fostering for a while, building up the fauna, building up the animal life. And when it gets to a point where humanoids can be introduced, they start tinkering with what humanoids will work on that planet or that world based on its makeup, its elements and how it operates according to its sun or suns or planetary bodies it's got. See, there's such a vast uniqueness in all the worlds of the universe. This is according to NDEs, that there are many inhabitable planets. There are many worlds, many dimensions even you can reside on and live in. But it's like these Elohim, it's their job. They go around and they populate planets and worlds. And the way they do that is they've got to use the creative force of Source to do it. So what they do is they fashion avatars, and then they entice or invite. I don't know how it works exactly. Some would say they force. I don't know if I believe that. Like forced reincarnation and all that. They call it a reincarnation trap. I don't believe that. I really don't. But some of you may, and that's fine. I mean, I have looked into that extensively, but I do believe that in the universe, in our full power, that free will is one of the universal laws of creation. So I don't believe that we get forced. I believe we get tricked and manipulated, and that's how they use us, essentially. So what they do is they fashion these avatars, and when they get them good enough that spirits will actually want to come experience residing in these avatars, then spirits like us, we come in from our world of our higher vibratory state to come experience that realm that's been fostered and worked on and terraformed. And then what we do is we help co-create on that planet. We start bringing in the knowledge of the universe. We start bringing in the inventions of the universe. We start, when we come into this realm, even at the earliest mankind levels, we start trying to figure out the stars and the what's the word I'm trying to think of here? Dang it, I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. Guess the coffee hasn't kicked in 100%. The different cycles. There we go. The cycles of that particular planet or world. And we start figuring out how to foster food, what animals you can eat, fruits and vegetables, which ones you can grow. We start figuring out which animals can be raised domestically and trained, some to help humankind, or humanoids, I should say, maybe on other planets. We start bringing in the technologies that are known throughout the universe, and people start bringing those in, downloads when they're here, because part of you is still in a higher dimension than your body. See, not all your spirit resides in your body, folks. Only part of it. The part that comes to experience the physical. But think about this. They get spirits to come into these avatars they created, and then now these spirits can start populating and building in that world. Humanoid like cities and stuff. And then they start refining mathematics and sciences and technologies. But see, folks, one thing that's very curious about near-death experiences is that they explain that everything here on Earth is in heaven, but it's even better and more technologically advanced. Like they say there's grand cathedrals in heaven. And it's crazy because you look at these cathedrals they used to build in the Middle Ages. Well, it makes you wonder if some of these artists, these artisans, the builders, the masons, the artists and such. It makes you wonder if some of them had near-death experiences and they tried to replicate what they seen on the other side, or that those blueprints and that information got downloaded to people. Look, Nikola Tesla, Einstein, some of the greatest minds of our time, they always talk about how that it's like they got downloads, and some of them would go into like trances and stuff to get these downloads. Think of Edgar Cayce. Think of what was it? Nostradamus. They would do rituals or certain practices that would help them, connect with their higher self, with the Akashic records and such. And then they would get downloads of information, and then they would manifest those downloads onto Earth. I think Leonardo da Vinci was another one. Look how far advanced his ideas were. He was already designing tanks and such. That's crazy, man, when you think about it. And so I think that's what we are. We're like conduits of information and creativity. And so we come and we help with the Elohim. They go and they set up planets. They terraform them. They basically refine what the creator of all starts out, because the creator of all is building on a massive grand scale. And it's like they go in there and they fine tune that. They working with the source, they come in and they find a planet, and once it's able to be inhabitable, they start working on terraforming and on plants and animals and humanoids. And once they get prototypes that are good enough that spirits are willing to come in and experience that realm in, then you're able to incarnate into those bodies. And maybe each world has a different rules to how you enter that realm. Maybe it's not all through the female womb like it is on Earth. But then once you're here, the whole point is that you're downloading information from the higher realms, and you're co-creating in this realm by manifesting, by building, by inventing those same things and bringing them to reality in this realm. And maybe it's like that on other realms. And so I think what happens though is that maybe some of these realms, these watchers, these Elohim, some of them get power hungry, and they get, where they all of a sudden they're like, wow, we did a really good job with this world. Instead of moving on to the next, I kind of want to be a god in this realm. I want to be a ruler. I want to be more directly involved now, instead of turning over the rest of this creation to, our brothers and sisters that will incarnate here in these forms we created. Maybe they want to stay behind in their full spiritual powers and act like gods on this realm. And I think that's what the Anuna were, the Elohim, the fallen angels. They were the ones that maybe didn't leave when they were supposed to. Once the humans, this humanoid race was perfected for avatar, as avatars for conscious energy to come and start, inhabiting this realm and building in this realm, they were supposed to leave, or maybe stay at a distance and just manage things, right? Maybe every now and then this realm gets upgrades, new plants and species upgrades, and all this stuff. Because, folks, I'm not buying the one species turn into another species evolution. It's quite obvious that within a blueprint for a species, there is massive amount of adaptation that is allowed. Adaptation to different environments, adaptations with different colors, sizes, functions. But one species is still a species. A cat, a feline, even though it can be a tiger or a house cat or a leopard or a lion or whatever, bobcat, it's still a feline. It's still part of that blueprint. It don't matter if it's an Arctic, I guess we don't really, that's more or less like the bears and wolves. But, maybe it's a cat that survives better in a colder climate, like in the Rockies. You got the mountain lion, but then in the South, you got the jaguar in the jungles. And so, anyways, point I'm trying to make is that one species is not going to become another species because there's a blueprint, folks, for every species on Earth. Now, perhaps these watchers are able to upgrade this realm, through the quantum field by introducing, upgrades and updates, just like a computer program, right? And that's what we see sometimes, like new species are discovered and stuff. And look at all throughout time how many cataclysms have come and wiped out, like the mammoths and saber-toothed tigers and the dinosaurs, or the dragons, whatever those things were. And then they update this earth with new species. They program them in, right, into the quantum field, and then they're able to manifest in this realm. It's all really it's really interesting, folks. I know we weren't able to get really deep here, but I guess the point I was trying to make is that what if that's what we are? We are like the colonizers for the universe, like we go into planets, we inhabit these bodies. The Elohim go before us, the Anuna. They terraform these planets. They get them ready for sustainable life. They fashion a humanoid avatar that is functional, that can survive, that is not part of that realm, but has been fashioned for that realm, right? Like, isn't it interesting how humans aren't really designed for this world completely? Oh, the only thing that allows us to survive is our brains, right? Well, that's what they tell us, science. We know we're not just the brain. The brain is just the operating system of the body, right? But they'll try to tell you consciousness is the brain. It's absolutely ridiculous. But anyways, we come in after the Elohim, set it all up, and then we start manifesting in this realm. We start building, and we start building civilizations. And sometimes maybe these Elohim, they come back, sometimes in those early periods when we're still like fledgling, like city-states and such, and they help teach us. They teach us, like, they give us, one-ups, so to speak. They come and teach us how to do animal husbandry, how to irrigate farms, how to, bake bricks, for building, like buildings. They, how to like refine metals for, for weapons and tools. And I mean, think about that. That's what's all in the book of Enoch, right? When you read the book of Enoch, that is literally what it's talking about. And when you read these old cuneiform, that's exactly what there's like whole cuneiform tablets, folks, that just talk about how one of the gods, like Enki, teaches them how to plow and gives them blueprints basically for how to build a plow and how to irrigate farms and all this. Like, it literally says that in the cuneiform, like that the Anuna, the Anunnaki, that they literally were teaching humankind, giving us the tools and the know-how on how to build civilization. And then they always wonder, well, how did we go from hunter-gatherers to boom, Sumer, and now we're looking at like Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe and all of these like way older than or Nippuru or Nippur or Uruk or any of these other ancient Sumerian cities, right? And it's crazy, man. Like, you look at Göbekli Tepe and they're trying to tell us these were hunter-gatherers, folks. I mean, I'm telling you, folks, there's a lot more to this story than we've been told. Perhaps we are the colonizers of this realm, and we've, that's what we do. We go from, you can go to different planets and you help build those planets. And because we are co-creators, because we are conscious energy, and because we have manifestation powers with, that we interface in with the quantum field, they need us and they use us for that. And they give us directions, and then they also have ways to manipulate us as groups to get massive projects and stuff done, because when they can get us all to think about something in one direction, collectively, it amplifies the manifestation powers and in this realm. And so anyways, folks, just some interesting things to chew on there. Love to hear your thoughts on that, what you think about that. Is that why we're here? Do we do this? Is that what our race does? I mean, I'm talking our race as spiritual beings from the higher dimension. Um, is this what we do? We come experience life through avatar bodies in different realms, and we help build those realms. And that is literally what our job is to do. And then maybe as you get to a higher level as a spirit, and you've gone through all these lifetimes and you've refined yourself, right, through experience, then you get promoted maybe to these levels that you would call archangel or the Anuna, the Elohim, the Watchers. And then now your job is you start going and building terraforming planets. You start, that you have now your job is not to populate those planets anymore, like you were doing. Now at a higher level, now you're managing planets, you're terraforming planets, see what I'm saying, folks? It's kind of an interesting theory, but when you think about it, it's wow. I mean, it checks out with the cuneiform, with Genesis, with the Book of Enoch, and even the Gnostic text. A lot of that rings true with that. It's just an interesting thought I've had, folks. Just look, I try to look at these things from I try to look way up and like from 1,000 foot view, and look at all these different sources and beliefs and stuff and stories, and try to connect them from that point. And I know there's a lot of people that do a lot of excellent work on this type of stuff, but I have noticed that hardly any of them ever use the NDEs or the OBEs as a way to tie it all together. And I think that has been the key, because when you start listening to all these NDEs, and then you start getting an idea of what that realm is like, and then you look at this realm and the interaction back and forth, then you start to see these connections, right? But if you're just purely based on what's going on here and on the books here and on the stories here, and you don't have that other side of our brothers and sisters that have come back from being dead and essentially brought back that knowledge, that like the cathedrals on the other side that they all talk about, the grand libraries. Isn't it weird how here we have these grand cathedrals and stuff, and these massive libraries, and how important those are to humankind? Well, folks, as above, so below, right? The Hermetic teachings, they've always been right. The Hermetic teachings cannot be disproven, because they are literally the laws of this realm through and through. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to go ahead and roll. I love you guys. Hit me up if you want to do a one-on-one Zoom with me. I trade my time for your donations. That's how you can support ETM, and we can build, our network and our connections, and build new friendships and such. So, anyways, guys, have a good day. I'll talk to you later.